Silence. Silence is something that has surrounded me for most of my life. Growing up with the Eastern culture, I was always taught the value of silence, to speak only when spoken to, or when I had something important to say, to control my emotions, and to respect others by listening to them. In Eastern cultures, it is polite to think through your answers before speaking, in order to avoid the risk of upsetting the other person. However, in Western cultures, it is almost the complete opposite. Silence is seen as uncomfortable and awkward. It is socially acceptable to talk all at once and interrupt each other. When we are silent in a conversation, people think that you either don't know what you're saying or you're simply uninterested. And I'm not saying one is right or wrong, but we need to realize that when we are communicating, people will have different understandings of what it means to be silent. So when I moved to my first international school, the silence continued. I surrounded myself with other quiet people who preferred to study rather than socialize. But when I moved to Greenstone, it was a bit of a dramatic change. In a school that focuses 25% of their grading on class participation, all my reports began to say the same things. I was too quiet. And because of this, it didn't only result in a drop on my grades, but a drop on my self-esteem. I couldn't understand why it was so wrong that I was too quiet. Until I read the book Quiet by Susan Cain. And this sparked my inspiration for a Greenstone topic. But when I began my project on introversion, I found there were so many people that were instantly against it. They said it was an overdone topic, or that it had already been discussed before. And one person even told me that introverts and extroverts are just labels, and I shouldn't believe in labels. People were also quick to assume that I had only chosen this topic to stay quiet in class, or to avoid talking in front of you today. But most of my classmates and previous graduates might agree, this is something we all dread. Introversion. Although it is a widely known topic now, it is still highly misunderstood. The definition in the dictionary alone is a shy, reticent person. And this leads people to believe that extroverts are naturally born leaders that love speaking in front of large crowds. However, America is the most extroverted country in the world, yet listed as their #1 fear is public speaking. And this is because it is now so highly enforced in school systems that children are required to share from a very young age with classmates and teachers in front of them, evaluating them and judging them. And this increases their fear, their anxiety, and their chances of messing up. And to them, it could have been a traumatizing experience. So they'll continue to link that one awful presentation they did in class to future public speaking. So introversion and extroversion is not about whether you are shy or not, it's about which environment you thrive in most. It's about how you react to social stimulation. So while extroverts prefer higher social stimulation, introverts gain their energy from being in quiet environments. Recently, in Western cultures, we have grown completely obsessed with socializing. We think that the only way to success is to go to more and more events and connect with more and more people. And this is why so many introverts burn out. They are pressured to put themselves in situations of higher social stimulation without having enough time to recharge and be alone. And this is especially the case when they are not passionate about what they're doing. If they are passionate, they will tend to have more of a drive, but this is hardly the case because we are taught from a very young age that if you are quiet, you will fail. As I said previously, schools often punish students that are on the quieter side. We are told to contribute as much as we can, that no answer is right or wrong, that all our ideas are respected. And because of this, we feel the need to say something, anything, because we feel if we don't contribute, we are failing. And even if it's something we haven't thought through before or truly believe in, we still say something just for the sake of saying something, which can be good in some situations, but it can be dangerous too, because people will follow you no matter what you say as long as you sound confident and committed. Even if it's a terrible idea and nobody agrees, people will still follow you. This happens a lot in businesses. It's a term called groupthink. It was founded by the psychologist Irving Janis, and groupthink is when people try to have as little conflict as they can and agree to every decision that is made. And so they end up having unreasonable actions and can affect the business very badly. Groupthink happens because of the lack of independent thinking. Because of our constant obsession with group work, we are straying farther and farther away from our own uniqueness and creativity. In group work, we are often mimicking what the group believes, and it's not even about social fear anymore, but sometimes we wire ourselves to genuinely believe what the group believes. So creativity, we think, is something that we can achieve only collaboratively, but we have our most creative outbursts when we are alone. And that's why many introverts end up becoming artists. Because how can you have your own original idea if you're constantly being influenced by the people around you? I know this all sounds very negative, but these are only a few examples of why favoring the extrovert ideal can be dysfunctional. We need to be able to encourage all personality types in order to move forward. Because introverts can inspire and influence people just as much as extroverts can. And I saw this while I was researching. A friend recommended a TED Talk called Activism Needs Introverts by Sarah Corbett. And she talks about the importance of a gentle protest through craftivism. She writes little notes and quotes and makes crafts about them and shares them with people because she realized that people are more motivated in creating a difference when they are presented with the information and take initiative on their own. She sent these to companies, and one reached back to her because they were so touched by her sweet words. She said things like, "We understand your tough position and power, and we love your brand, but we really disagree with what you're doing here." And because she expressed her disagreements so kindly, they listened to her, and they were able to create change together. Today, we express our disagreements through screaming and acting aggressively, telling people what is right and what is wrong, and telling them that they are the problem. And even if you're making an interesting point, it will not sit well with people if you use shame and blame. Use shame and blame. People will always be against you. Our solution is to react as fast as we can and fuel people on their anger. But then we just get into this never-ending cycle of accusing each other and never getting into the solution. We need to realize that we are all naturally compassionate creatures. So I used this gentle way of protesting to focus on a project that my family and I have been working for many years now. Give them a future. It started with donations from our own pockets, and we gave children and adults and elders from this village in Kintamani our used clothes and gave them essential foods that they couldn't afford. And then it later grew as we got more donations, and we were able to provide steady jobs for adults, and at a certain point we made enough to build a school. And these children will continue to support throughout their high school and their university. So on a recent trip to Kintamani, we noticed some drastic changes that had been made to the community. The people could now afford motorbikes, cars, and had even expanded their land for more farming. Although they crashed their cars as soon as they bought it, they were still extremely grateful. And we realized that all that was needed was a little guidance and a little care to give them the opportunity and a chance for a better future. And the rest was their decision to make. What started as 180 families living in poverty became 180 families in a growing, thriving community. And listening to this was an indescribable feeling that inspires us to continue. And we realized that this was only the beginning, because we still need quick solutions to problems that they are still facing today, such as their lake is dying and overflowing, and there are children and elders with health conditions that they can't afford to fix. But most of all, their surrounding villages are still facing harsh conditions of poverty. And so I chose my Greenstone to document their lives and take photos of them and learn about their stories. I asked them about what their life was like and how it's changed. And I asked children what they would like their futures to look like. And I displayed these online and at school as well. And finally, we were able to create enough content to build a website, which is soon going to launch, so stay tuned for www.givethemafuture.com. We are now also able to create products, which I will be selling today. So if you'd like a t-shirt, you can come find me after the talk. The money that is given from selling these products will go straight to the cause and help these people either in the short term, mid-term, or long term. Short term meaning providing essential foods and medical care, mid-term meaning providing jobs, and long term meaning education, like building schools. And this is only one example of what can happen if you let people take initiative on their own. There are so many more ways that we can all do to make our own impacts. And whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, we can all contribute in our own ways, in our own positive ways. Because like the quiet leader Gandhi once said, in a gentle way, you can shake the world. Thank you.